Hi, this is Pastor Brian with day 2 of Family Easter Devotions from this book, Why Easter? And day 2's reading for you is John chapter 12, verses 1 through 8. So go ahead and pause the video and read together as a family John 12, 1 through 8. And I'll see you back in just a minute. Welcome back. I will start off by showing you the picture from the book here, and you can see here is Mary at Jesus' feet with the perfume. There's Martha, who's serving the meal, Lazarus sitting and eating the meal, and here's Judas standing over Jesus complaining about what they're doing. Let me read the devotional and then I'll provide a couple of comments of my own. How do we show Jesus our love for him? Lazarus, Martha, and Mary were so grateful for all Jesus had done. Lazarus had died, but now he was alive again. Jesus did what no one else could do. So Lazarus wanted to show Jesus his love. He honored Jesus with a special dinner. Martha started to prepare to serve all of Jesus' favorite food to show her love for him. But how would Mary show Jesus her love? The day came for Jesus and his friends to gather around the table with Lazarus. The freshly baked bread smelled good, and everyone was hungry. Martha happily served the guests and had decided to serve Jesus the rest of her life. Suddenly, the aroma of freshly baked bread was overpowered by a sweet fragrance. What was it? All eyes were on Mary as she poured perfume on Jesus' feet. This was no ordinary perfume. It had cost what one person earned in a whole year's worth of work. In those days, people poured this kind of perfume over the body of a loved one when they died. Mary had always listened closely to Jesus as he spoke. Mary heard Jesus talk about death as the awful penalty of sin. When Lazarus had died, Mary felt the sting of this truth. However, Mary heard Jesus call himself the resurrection and the life, and that he was the way for a person to be forgiven of sin and live forever with God. In pouring this perfume on Jesus, Mary was telling Jesus she believed him. She trusted Jesus and knew what he said was true. Mary showed her love for Jesus by believing him. Was Mary wasting her money? Judas thought so. Judas wanted the money for himself, we learn in Luke 12. Judas had also heard Jesus talk many times, but he did not believe in him. And that happens for many people. They hear about Jesus, but do not believe what he says. Mary understood Jesus and believed him. The big truth we want to remember here is Jesus gave his life so that we can be forgiven. And before we get to questions, I want you to look again at the picture and see how Mary is kneeling before Jesus down at his feet. In those days, with all the dusty roads and all the dirt that they would get on their feet, it was a servant's job to wash the feet of the dinner guests. Well, Mary takes a humble position. She recognizes who Jesus is and believes in him, and she places herself in his service. She even goes so far as to dry his feet with her hair. It's hard to imagine wanting to do that for anybody, but Mary recognizes who Jesus is and humbles herself. Now look at where Judas is. And the Bible doesn't specifically tell us he was standing like that complaining, but the way they drew him here does show the attitude of his heart. He was complaining, but not just complaining about the perfume and not just about the money. He was standing in judgment, not just over Mary, but over Jesus as well, for receiving a gift like that. And so, as we approach Easter and we remember that Jesus died to forgive us of our sins and that he rose again and eventually ascended to the right hand of God and he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, we want to remember to be in that position like Mary, kneeling at Jesus' feet, ready to serve in whatever way he calls us. So the questions that are in the book for you here. First is, what did Mary believe about Jesus? And you can get that from the story, But for a next level kind of question, you can start to discuss as a family what you believe about Jesus. Share all the things that you can think of about what you know is true about Jesus. Second question, what will you do to listen closely to Jesus' words? How will you listen closely to Jesus' words? And you might even talk about your plan to go through these devotions as a family together. But then how, after Easter comes, how will you plan to put yourself in a place where you're going to be listening closely to Jesus' words? And then third, how will you show your love for Jesus today? And in addition to just serving those in your family, you might think together as a family how you might serve those around. Are there neighbors who might have needs, things like that around you? Think well on those things. God bless you, and have a good night.